Hey guys, if you are going to play KCD2, which you might make your decision at the end of this video, use my link to Games Planet. They get their keys directly from developers, so you're supporting the developers and me, and I've got you guys a special 14% off using the code KINGRESONANT. Click the link in the description, and in the promo code put KINGRESONANT in capitals, and you guys only will get your 14% off. Don't say I don't do anything for you. The start of the game is a very long prologue, a bit like the first. It wasn't quite the 4 hours running around a small little village of Skallets before it gets burnt down, but, you know, it is still pretty long before the title cards actually show. But we do start off playing as Father Godwin, as we've seen in much of the gameplay, people from IGN and that sort of thing, as a crossbowman on the siege, and we get a great look at exactly what's going on here. The battles are huge, they're enormous, you get to see some of the gunpowder weaponry, and of course fighting with those crossbows is very satisfying. You can see people burning at the stake as hot oil gets poured down on them. I absolutely love it as an opening. Now, I'm going to go slightly different with the rest of this video, though, and actually just let's make a list of all the main issues that people had with the first Kingdom Come Deliverance, and I'm just going to quickly tell you if they are solved, if they've not been touched, or, well, everything. Also, I didn't get a key from Warhorse Studios really that soon. I actually had to go begging through friends to try and get them, so I actually don't really have much bias towards this game. In fact, I'm kind of grumpy at them for leaving me off their press list. But hey, take what you will. I still didn't have to pay for the game. So, we've got Optimisation. That is a lot better. I'm able to play it pretty well. I have a pretty decent system from a few years ago. It's got like a 3090 in it, but I'm playing it at 4K just on high settings, and it runs at 60 pretty much all the time. It's great. Voice acting, fantastic. So much better than the first game, especially Hans and Henry. They are just played out so incredibly well, and you can tell so much time has been put into the wording of all the writing and the way that they've said that. They can be said completely different lines, and of course there's so many lines. This is in fact the biggest script in any game ever, and you can tell, and we'll get onto that in a little bit, there is a lot of words within this. However, in terms of raw voice acting, I actually went back and played a bit of the first Kingdom Come Deliverance, and my god, some of the voice acting in that game is goddamn awful. Here, it's so much better. Every single NPC within the world now has a professional voice actor working with them, whether before I think they just got people around the studios and the office because it was a pretty low budget game. But of course, the leaders Luke, Dale, and Tom McKay, who play our leading characters, do a fantastic job, and I think even better than the first game as well, even though they were still pretty good there. Okay, one of the other big things was lockpicking. Yeah, that's not changed. I think with the controller, you're going to get very, very angry, and you're going to find it incredibly annoying. I actually didn't find it too bad. I'm playing on a mouse and keyboard because I learned from my mistakes last time. But also, lockpicking is something that you've really got to spend time working on. I think this is an RPG, but incredibly hardcore. And a lot of people come into the game, like the first one, expect it to be a little bit more, I don't know, casual and arcadey like Skyrim is in terms of RPGs. No, you cannot do that here. In fact, go to the Miller's Hut when you get to a certain quest, and he will teach you to lockpick. And there's also a lockpick chest that will completely refresh every time. And I just spent a good 10-20 minutes going lockpicking over and over again on the very easy chests. Then I found some easy chests, and then some medium chests. And eventually I was able to lockpick hard chests, which you do need for some later lessons and some later missions as well. But lockpicking is still going to be pretty infuriating, I think, for a lot of people. But putting in the time and the practice for Henry to get better is noticeable, and especially when you get those extra perks. What about bugs, though? Well, graphically, there isn't really anything that I have to complain on. It is one of the most beautiful games I've ever goddamn seen, even though I'm not playing at Ultra in my playthrough. But my god, the scenery is fantastic. The lighting in the woods, ooh, I could look at it all day and eat Jaffa cakes whilst doing something else with my right hand. This is one of the better looking games that I've seen, and on a scale unlike anything else. I mean, remember, the whole game has 2 maps. I'm only able to play up to I think kind of the first part of the first map within my early showcase and what I'm talking about today. However, I've heard great things, and we've seen some trailers from the other map as well, so I'm very, very excited to get delving into that. Graphically, it is fantastic. The only bug I saw was a tiny lighting glitch at the start, but, you know, that's not really anything to write home about. In terms of bugs in general, I think this was a big point of the first Kingdom Come Deliverance, and they're back. Oh, they are definitely back. I'm going to be honest. I think some people have said that they are completely fine and it's a much higher quality game, and it is an incredibly higher quality game, but there are still some definite bugs. And that's kind of shooting themselves in their own foot with the mechanics that they've come with in this game. But let's talk about some of the most basic bugs. Sometimes if you're fast traveling, you'll get attacked by bandits and you'll spawn, well, I did, just within a cart itself, and I could not move. Sometimes you'll get spotted for stealing and you'll have absolutely no idea why. It seems like some NPCs can just see through walls, or I guess through bushes. Unfortunately, I think that is just the mechanics. Early on in the game, being stealthy is very, very hard, and it'll be very frustrating because you'll think you're not being seen, but actually you will be. And then there'll be other times where I'll be in the pitch dead of night in black clothes, and I'll be able to get pretty close to NPCs and they won't be able to see me whatsoever. So I don't know if that's really a glitch, but I think it's something that's kind of frustrating sometimes. I was talking a little bit about how they've shot themselves in their own foot with their kind of realism approach, and you can see this in some of the missions. So this comes with some fantastic things, with the fact that some missions you just can't do because you've messed them up if they're timed missions. There's a mission where you've got to go and investigate a cart that's been attacked. And I went off because I didn't have a horse. They said, oh, go and get a horse. I was like, okay, I need to get one. I went to the horse guy. I didn't have enough money. I need to go and find some money. So I went off trying to make some money. I came back and they'd left. They'd left and they'd come back. And then the mission said, go and ask them what happened. But they wouldn't speak to me. They said, go away. You didn't want to help us. So I'm assuming that mission is just out the window. I can't do that mission anymore. That's fine. That's completely understandable because there was a way around it. I could do a different mission in order to carry on the storyline that I wanted to go with. So it wasn't too much of an issue. And in fact, it was kind of cool. The fact that you could do these missions, but they ain't waiting for you if it's a timed thing. They had to go and check out that cart and try and find it as soon as possible. Sorry, I'm allergic to first impressions. But if you're not there in time, well, you've ruined it. And that happens multiple times without this. A lot of the time in side quests as well. I mean, this is one of those games that you can kill main characters or side quest characters. There was one of the ones that I was walking along the road and there was a poacher. And I was actually attacking an enemy camp and this poacher joined in. And he actually helped me. But I wanted his bow, so I killed him, naturally. And then another mission said, oh, if you want to find something else, well, you got to go and talk to the poacher. And then Henry, as the character, said, well, I can't do that. I've killed him. Which is kind of funny. But sometimes this realism to the missions has some issues. Let me just, you know what? Let me just play you this goddamn part of this mission. This frustrated me so much. You still there? Oh, God, he is. Uh-oh.
Stolen enough already? What do you mean already? What lackeys? I've no idea what you're on about, fella. Stinky. I'll kill you.
Are we just beating him up? Or are we killing him?
Help me with him.
We'll finish this soon.
We're just beating him up. Good. Run. No, don't hit him.
It's a slaughterhouse. What the?
No, not you. Not you.
I surrender.
Yeah, we're on the same side,
I
mate.
surrender. Run. Go.
Don't actually run.
Thank you, lad.
We've got a quest. We've got a quest to. We've got a quest to do. I accidentally locked onto him. Yeah. Is he gonna come back? Oh, he's run off into the fucking woods. He's gone. See, this is when I want it to be not realistic and for him to, like, teleport back. I can't call my horse because the quest isn't letting me use my horse. So I have to reload. And actually, in fact, I had a huge glitch in one of the biggest missions of this first part of the game. Unfortunately, I don't think I can show it to you, so I'm not going to risk it. But sometimes there will be parts that you come across. I mean, the game worked itself out. I was still able to progress within the story, but I think I actually just skipped a mission out by accident. So, hey-ho, that sometimes happens. Let's talk about the combat, though. A huge point of Kingdom Come Deliverance. Has it got better in KCD 2? Yes, it goddamn has. It is so good within this game. I absolutely love it. In fact, once I've trained and once I've got up to high standards, I feel like a badass. Now, don't get me wrong, I haven't really checked out things like the archery. I've messed around with crossbows a little bit. but I haven't spent time getting Henry good at those skills. But in terms of hand-to-hand combat, being able to use axes to slash people harder, or being able to use swords that have better stabbing power, or if someone comes at me with a kettle hat on and better armor, I whip out my warhammer and I whack them and bonk them on the head until they go unconscious, and then I can just stamp them on the floor. It's really satisfying. Fighting against multiple opponents is really, really good as well. There's actually a video on Strat Gaming's channel. I'd go and check that out. He talks about fighting multiple opponents and how that's been fixed. But you can just switch between people. Being able to do counters and blocks and cool moves is really, really satisfying. Now, you do really need to pay attention to your stamina, because there are perks that can give you more stamina, but my god, you'll be running out of it very quickly at the start. What I would recommend is every time someone attacks you, you block, don't necessarily do a riposte and a counter, because it uses up so much stamina blocking straight into another attack. So sometimes just block and move backwards, regain that stamina, and then maybe the next one, block and riposte. Otherwise, you go down on stamina, you'll start taking damage, you might get disarmed, and you're kind of screwed at that point. What about stealth? Well, stealth is back in such a big way, and it is kind of the way that I love to play this game. Sneaking into places, stealing stuff from people, making my way around missions that, you know, you can do it in the regular way of becoming a noble and making people respect you, or getting some money to pay for items that you need. Or you can wait until the tailor goes to sleep, rob his keys from his pocket, go into his shop, and steal all the stuff that he was too stingy to sell to you. You can do that. And I do that quite a lot. I love stealth. It's great. It works the same in this one. Make sure you're not wearing shoes, or you're wearing like really light shoes. Don't wear armor and try and sneak around, otherwise people will hear you. Being able to pickpocket people is a new mechanic. I love it. It is so fantastic. But get good at it, because it is so risky. Once again, you can train that with the miller. Now, there is a new mechanic, and that is blacksmithing. It is fantastic-ish. It's okay. It's not that exciting, I'm going to be honest. It takes quite a long time bashing bits of metal with sticks, but it works fairly as you'd expect. I've heard, I was watching Sexy Biscuit's video, and they mentioned how actually making horseshoes is a bit of an issue, because they're quite small and fiddly, and you have to raise the hammer above your head and then knock it down, and actually seeing where it hits can be quite frustrating. My tip for that, I didn't actually have those issues. My tip would just be, make sure you put the hammer over the thing you're trying to blacksmith first, and then click to raise it, and it'll come down exactly where you left it, as long as you don't move your mouse. Once again though, it's tied to the mouse movement, and I'm assuming that's the same with controllers. So on analog sticks, that's probably just as fiddly as lockpicking. So, you know, be aware of that. There are a few things that probably need to just be toned down in terms of the sensitivity and there, in order to make it a little bit more accessible. But what are some of the things that I absolutely adore about this? Well, it is the stories. You feel like you're immersed within this whole world, and there are two maps. They are absolutely goddamn huge. The first one especially, it feels like you're playing it's the first game in itself. I maybe got 15 hours in before I actually got to the third or fourth mission. Yeah, just going around doing all these side quests, meeting people. I love going along roads and just, you know, coming across people that have their own stories and things. I got drugged by a guy who stole some of my stuff. Yeah, I learned my lesson. So the next time someone wanted to have a party with drinks with me, I got my sword out and I stabbed him in the neck. You know, things happen. But I love the characters that you meet, and you're able to come back and they recognize you. Of course, wearing better armor or wearing better clothes means people respect you more. And yes, you will start stinking a lot if you're carrying around dead bodies and just rolling in the mud a lot. And people, not even just when you're speaking to them, but people as you walk around will say, you stink. In fact, the first horse that I bought was a little bit of a throwback to the first game, and it was the cheapest horse I could find. It was my horse, but I loved it. And every time I left it somewhere, everybody would say how rubbish. So people would say, oh, I wouldn't even take that horse if it was for free. Just if I'd leave it by the tavern or the stables. I was getting so offended. But, you know, I cheaped out on my horse. So what can I really say? I probably should invest in that a bit more. There are some awesome things, though, just in the general world. Like, there are dice players outside pubs and taverns. And sometimes you can play against them. And they might take your money. But you can find out where they live. And you can take the money back. You can take their cheating dice, actually, and then you can go back the next day and they've got nothing, and you can beat them with their own dice. Sometimes they will notice, but sometimes they don't. And I love little things like that, because that's not part of missions. That's just within the game. And like I said, with the tailors and all the marketplaces, maybe they've got something that you want that you can't afford. Just go back at night time, sneak in, lockpick your way through the doors. You can lockpick your way through chests, but I often found that if I just got better at actually pickpocketing, I could take the keys from them, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, I had free range in their shops then at nighttime. It was fantastic. In fact, I was doing a mission where I had to go into a certain area and find a certain chest of things, but I pickpocketed the wrong guy, and he turned out to be the owner of this whole establishment. Got some keys from him, thinking they were the keys I needed for the mission. They were not. But they led me to an armory that had all the best armor and weapons within, I'm assuming, either the game or just this first section that I was playing in. And I just had unlimited armor, and I felt like an amazing knight, and put them in my little chest. And as soon as people started forgetting about them, I then sold them at the other end of the country, just because I didn't want people to notice where they were stolen from. And that will happen. If you take hats and stuff from people, put them on as you're walking around, people comment, I've seen that hat before, and eventually the guards, you know, will cotton on and you'll get arrested. So all in all, I think it's going in a fantastic direction. There is so much to love about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I'd say one of my only things is it feels very wordy. There was a lot of times, especially side quests, that I was just skipping through the dialogue because it felt unnecessary, and I understand that's about building the world and being an RPG. But as somebody that doesn't necessarily love RPGs but loves Kingdom Come Deliverance, it takes a lot for me to try and sit through people talking about how sad they are about something that I really don't care about. But that's each to their own. That is the nature of the game, so that's just very much a personal nitpick. So far, so good. There's so much to love, and boy, I hope this video has given you enough information without hopefully breaking my NDA, just so you know what you could be getting yourself into on the 4th of February.